So in Salt Lake City, um, there started to be like right at the very beginning when we moved in. Um, I there like kids would come up to me and say, one girl said, "I hate you because you're rich and you have a pool." And I mean, uh, to me, like the money wasn't internalized, and one of my happiest places in the world was with my grandparents who were on this like teeny little log cabin in Wyoming, and they didn't even have a dishwasher, and maybe like a bad association kind of began like to that all of the happiest best times, money had nothing to do with it. And now that we were, I don't know, like in the public quite a bit, um, and that wasn't the only thing. Like we were in a ward that was very wealthy. There, I remember at one point somebody like made a list at junior high, like all the stuck-up kids, and I was on it, and like I was shy and nobody knew me, so it was just weird. Like I don't know, there was a lot of negativity based on that. So um, that really wasn't a ton about me. Um, I remember the Deer Valley condos, they had missed the pouring of the concrete for the base, and what's it called? Anyway, we had to like spend hours and hours like putting stickers on these brochures, and then mailing them. And my mom, like when she wasn't busy with the kids, which she wasn't a lot. I mean, we had a full-time nanny, and then we were babysitting a lot. So she was doing like, I don't like aerobics classes. There was this kind of like breathing thing, like you do a certain pose and you like breathe out and it creates a suction. And I don't remember what it's called, but she went on like the public channel, like I don't know, local like PBS, and like taught these classes. For a little while, she was like, despite birth after birth after birth, she was she kept up her physique. Near After Isaiah was born, and here they were like, I think less than 18 months apart, like 1, 2, 3. And she had this like great wardrobe. I knew she was like really into like church. Both of them were. And for my mom, like it was specifically, a performance. Anyway, she didn't have. I mean, we didn't cross paths that often. So my mom and Fred, they went out and like did public things. I don't know, they like went to games, and I don't I don't know everything they did with their time, but after hours, like I was babysitting. So once I got into high school, once I was in I just had never really had much interest in math, and so I was in an algebra class, and I remember I didn't love the teacher. I mean, I was taking I was always in honors English and accelerated science. I mean, I was always in classes like that, but generally did well. But I just did not like this math class. I was coming home. I had to, babysit, the babies, these siblings, and I I never like felt like I had time and didn't like care to do my math assignments. And I got a C, and I was in so much trouble. I was, if anything else, like I did school for me, but yeah, so my bed, it was a trundle bed. It was moved, and I had like a room on the second floor, and it was moved into our basement in the furnace room. My bed was put, not the trundle part, but it was put in the furnace room, and I was grounded, that's the term they always use, for that entire semester, until I got my grade fixed. I was locked in the room with the furnace, and nobody outside knew, like nobody in the community. They think we're living in this like beautiful house, and I'm in this room where there's exhaust from the furnace and there's no carpet. It's all concrete, and that was where I had to spend all the hours that I wasn't in school or wasn't in babysitting, and that's how I had to live, and I had to do it secretly. So that's because I didn't like algebra, and we had so much going on. There was constant abuse, and also I wasn't allowed to have a life outside of church activities. I wasn't popular, but I also wasn't allowed to socialize, and for whatever reason, I mean, maybe it's all the babies, but my mom, like, she wasn't a mom that was ever going to drive anywhere. So here I am, like, pre-driving, and there's social things, and Fred isn't around, and so I couldn't do social things because, if you don't have like a ride, if you're not like giving back, then no, you don't. Nobody gives you rides, and they just didn't want me out at all. And there was one time when these two girls, Lisa and Janelle, my mom was like outside the junior high, and I had told them, I mean, they lived in my neighborhood, and I was like, yeah, I think my mom can give you guys a ride. And so she came to the school at like the time she said she would, and we had a minivan at this point, and they opened like the minivan door. It wasn't a minivan, maybe it was like a big van. Anyway, they opened like the sliding door, and my mom had been shopping, and we didn't know. And when we pulled the door open, Oren just rolled out and into the street, and my mom just like lost it, and they were scared, and nobody wanted to. They were like, everybody knew what was going on. Like, the members of the bishopric knew what was going on. They're Christians and like knew what was going on. And but it was, with all that money, it was a really messed up place, and everybody knew what was going on in my house. But you didn't talk, you didn't tell. And I remember Thayer just looking at me one time and kind of wondering if I was okay, and I just looked down like I was threatened with my life, and and things had taken a very, like, it just kept getting worse and worse, and it was, I mean, there was an age where people knew. So we were living the life, we looked perfect somewhat, but I don't, these were people kind of close, so I don't know I didn't know it came through.